Hi, Pam. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Greetings from Canada. Thank you for coming on The Boy Next Door.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, everything we're talking about is just a personal opinion and a personal perspective on how you see things. And I just wanted to get your personal opinion on this whole subject matter about your sister Ava. What are one of the big misconceptions that the fans have that you've been reading in the comment sections where you're just going that's not really it, you guys aren't really hitting the bell with it? Like, what is the biggest misconceptions that the fans
Well,
are coming up with?
I think some of the people that they've pinpointed. Now, there's some other people I think that, may be worth looking at. But there's some like Hal, her husband, Kay's ex-husband, there's just no way.
I've been thinking
But,
the same thing. I noticed when, in the police department, they always usually question the husband or the spouse first thing. So I assume, and just in my opinion, they obviously cleared the husband and all that. And I wanted to just ask your opinion on some of the fan comments. They've been coming up with this one theory, and they're saying that it might have been an inside job. Now, what's your personal opinion on that?
well, it could have been. I'm just real confused on the whole thing. There's many people out there that could have had a hand in it, and then there's uh, some that they're pointing fingers at that I'm absolutely positive, sure not.
Do you
That, they didn't have anything to do with them.
do you think Ava had any, like, maybe guys she was seeing on the side, or maybe other lovers of interest that maybe got a little bit too obsessed with her? What's your opinion on that?
Well, that's what everyone's thinking, that like the police department, because they said it's a crime of passion, but
Yeah.
Kay never talked to me about any of that, which I wish she would have if there would have been something, but, there's rumor that she did have someone on the side, and of course I've also heard that Hal had people on the side also, so, I just don't know. I'm just totally confused.
It's been 16 years now, and I want to just ask your personal perspective on what are some of the major updates that have been going on in the case. Has there been any?
I'm not from the police department, but we've had a new show that aired in January 21st, the day before her birthday, and it was Evil Lives Here, Shadow of Death, and they did a pretty good job on the whole thing. There was kind of seems like there was more brought out. There was like a rubber glove that I was told by the police department that was found outside, but after I watched this, there was that rubber glove on the inside of the house.
I've heard many theories about this rubber glove online, and they said it could have been something like a material used from some kind of fetish gear or something like that. Is there any truth to that, or?
Well, not that I could tell, but I saw it on the floor, in the last show. It looks just like a rubber glove that somebody could buy, like, from the hospital or something.
Right. So I wanted to ask your personal opinion on this. Now, from what I've been reading online, they said the killer might have left the exit of the back of the house.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm just curious, just throwing it out there, a personal opinion. I wanted to know, is there any kind of nearby stores behind the house or somewhere that you would like to think that maybe there would be security or, cameras?
Well, there's a big mall, but right outside of Kay's backyard, there's a big area that's just nothing but trees and leaves and a pond and all that. And if you go through that, then there's a major road right on the other side of it. So they're kind of thinking that he went out the back door because the back door was unlocked.
Right.
And Kate never left the back door unlocked. She never left any door unlocked.
I
And
figured because it said there was no forced entry, right?
they apparently rang the doorbell or something, and Kay opened the door. But she was waiting for a delivery to be made of a big wine cooler.
It just seems odd that that day she just got sick. Do you think that is just bullshit, or what's your opinion on that?
I don't know. You know, she said she didn't feel well, but yet she still showed up at Hal's office, you know, around noon.
Right. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just seems a little too convenient, you know, but that's just a personal opinion of mine.
Yeah, and maybe she had a meeting arranged. I just don't know. I just am clueless.
Now, what are some of the things that I like? Obviously, the main goal here is to find who did it. Now, what is your goals to try to do to get this case solved?
Well, you know, I've been real fortunate there because I've had 48 hours and all these other shows call me to do interviews, and keeping it out there is the most important thing. You know, if we just keep Kay's name going and keep her story out there,
I agree.
I'm hoping that we can get it solved. So I've been real fortunate, and then with you calling me, you know, I feel fortunate with this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Somebody called me.
I wanted to maybe, because we were just speaking not too long ago. She was a Playboy bunny at one of the Playboy clubs you mentioned in Miami. Can we maybe talk a little bit more about that? You said you went on a vacation with her. You told me a little bit, but what are some of the memories of you going to the Playboy club?
Oh, yeah, I went down to see Kay, and she had to go to work, so she asked me if I wanted to go along. So she set me up at a great table. We had a burlesque show and drinks and food, and it was just fabulous. She treated me so sweet, and everybody was really nice to me. But, you know, that's the only time I'd ever gone to work with Kay. And, you know, everybody seemed real friendly and very, very nice. You know, treated me with a lot of respect.
How long did Kay work at this establishment at the Playboy Club? How long was she working there for?
You know, I really don't know. Maybe a couple of years, and I'm just guessing that.
So how did she? Because a lot of the Playboy fans are probably curious. How did she stumble upon that job? Was she just like looking in a newspaper or something like that?
You know, and I don't even know. I can't even answer that question. I have no idea how she came across that. You know, but then she was telling me, "Oh, I'm a Playboy bunny now, and I'm working here and here, just serving cocktails." But I have her Playboy bunny costume that she wore.
You were mentioning that. Does it still look the same and intact?
Oh, yeah. It's hot pink. The only thing I don't have is a tail and a bow tie.
Now, I wanted to also ask you, what are some of the main things that you miss about your sister? Because it's important for people to know that you lost out on somebody, and we need to get people to know on a personal level. Like, what is the one thing that you miss about her?
Oh, I miss our sister trips every year. Mm-hmm. That was when we used to go someplace all the time. My house, her house, my other sister's house. And it was always fun. Kay always had a project for, you know, when they got here. One time I was making some costumes for the band up here, and I just was barely getting finished with them, and I was just exhausted. So I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning, and my entire living room was totally rearranged. Pictures and everything. Kay has got to leave her mark.
That's great.
She was really good at that.
So now
I miss our phone calls. I miss our phone calls. We would speak at least twice a week.
Right.
And my trips out there, they were so sweet. It was just a lot of fun. I'd meet her like down at my mom's. We'd meet down there and spend a week down there with our mom, and go to our sisters. That was fun too. And you know, there's just so many things I miss about her.
Of course, it's hard to narrow down just one thing, right? But
oh, absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
What are your hopes with this whole podcast? Now, what do you want to say to some of the Playboy fans maybe listening to my episode here?
I want to see if someone can help us out there solve this thing. You know, it's been way too long. Police department's thrown their hands up. They're just not interested. They've just said, now, if you have any information, just call Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, that's
And
the
you know, to me,
go-to.
that's just wrong. You know,
Yeah.
I want the public to help us get this solved. Kay just needs it. I need it. My mom's gone. My dad's gone. My older sister's gone now. And it's just my brother and I. And it would just be nice to know before I left its birth.
I understand, and that's one of the reasons why I contacted you, because I figured, you're getting older now and there's only so much time for you, and it's like I'd like to think that having a conversation with you and asking these questions will maybe tell some of the people that have been keeping up with Ava's case that you're still actively looking, and to basically help us, if anyone really knows anything, to just come forward already and tell the right people that need to hear it, because it's been 16 years now, right?
Yeah, 16 years, you know.
And
Not a
that's
day goes by that I don't think, okay, I've got a picture of her in my kitchen. You know, I talk to her all the time, you know. Well, okay, I'm still trying. The thing about Kay is if this would have been me that was murdered
right.
and she was still alive, she would never give up the hunt.
Exactly.
She would stop. And I don't want to stop.
And
I get frustrated sometimes, you know, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to find this person. He needs to pay for what he did. He took a really special person off this earth, and he didn't have to do that.
I agree.
He should have taken himself.
It seems like there's so many emotions and so many twists and turns in this case that people got to realize that just because it looks like an interesting story or juicy on story, people need to realize, like, there's people like you actually lost a sister, and like we kind of need to get past all the glitz and glamours of TV, and people really need to realize, like, you've lost somebody near and dear to you, and whoever is out there, if they're listening, or if they know anything, or even the person listening to this, maybe they should just come forth, or God forbid, maybe when they're on their deathbed, they can say it. So at least that way you and your family can have some sort of peace of mind, because, 16 years is a long time. Even 1 year, a day would be too much to not know. So I can't even really fathom those emotions you're going through. And I just wanted to tell you that, like, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your sister.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
it doesn't get any easier either.
No.
But, even if I could just know why.
Right.
I want to know why this guy took my sister's life. And then I want to know why he had to go back and slit her throat a second time. See, this is, I just found out on this last show they did, that he didn't slit her throat once. He went back, they call it an assurance, slit, to just really make sure. It was so bad that she was almost decapitated, is what I found out finally.
Wow. And we, like, in my personal opinion, like, and yours, we would have never have gathered that from the most of the information that's out there. That seems to be, in my opinion, like, kind of a big detail that's, left out, don't you think?
Well, I think so, but, I didn't find that out till this last show. They got a little bit deeper in it, and there was a picture of her laying on the floor, which I've never seen any pictures of her before.
Right.
But when I got to the house that next day after her murder, they had pulled up so much wood floor from the kitchen, the back door going out to the garage, all the way down the kitchen to the refrigerator. Her blood went that far, a long ways down that kitchen. They had to pull all that floor up because of her blood. And then they put big deals of plywood down. And then they put red tape on top of it to hold it on the floor. And I'm like, couldn't have found a better color tape,
That's interesting when you hear something like that, because, you figure you, out of all people, being one of her family members, you figure, in my opinion, they would try to tell you the biggest piece of information, and the fact that, many years later on, you just find out for yourself. That must be pretty frustrating. I can imagine beyond belief for you.
Oh, I'm so frustrated with the police department, because the one guy that had case, he was the third detective on her case, and he had been on there for quite a while. And I called him for a year and a half and left a message on his phone. And then I finally called the chief of police, and I said, look, I want to talk to somebody. Well, so, because I'm going to Atlanta, and I'm going to talk to somebody there. And I did, and talked to this one guy. Well, I'm getting ready to leave, but the other guy, oh, yeah, he got a promotion and is long gone. He couldn't pick up the phone and call me and tell me that he was no longer on my sister's case. I'm calling him for a year and a half, and in order to get in touch with anybody, I have to call the chief of police. So now, if I want to talk to somebody, I get a hold of the chief of police, and I get all kinds of phone calls back. But you have to go to that extent to get anybody to even want to talk to you. And I went in there and talked to them, my husband and I, you know, and we had 2 more detectives in there, and they're supposedly taking the case. Call us anytime. Yeah, we're here for you. Shoot. I can call and leave a message. They don't even bother to call me back. It's very frustrating.
In your personal perspective, and I'd like to know, why do you think they're not calling back or to seem to be in the biggest rush to answer any of your questions? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it is because they don't have any answers to my questions. They don't have a clue of what's going on, what happened, no suspects, and they're so overloaded there with work, they could care less, you know, unless I keep bothering them. That's what I have to do. I've just found out if I call the chief of police, I can get a phone call back. If I just keep calling these other guys, you know, I never hear back from them.
That's
and
unfortunate.
That is just really frustrating. And then when I found out they put it in Crime Stoppers, that was the end of the show last time in January. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers.
Yes.
Don't call the police department. Call Crime Stoppers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it seems, yes, it's like, how many times do they need to, you know, I guess you could say pussyfoot around it for so long. I mean, it seems like they're not really in the biggest rush, like I said, to try to solve it, which is kind of unfortunate because they're not really taking into perspective or consideration your feelings as a family member, you know, like, it almost makes you want to tell them, like, how would this feel if you were in my shoes for this long?
Yeah, they don't care, you know.
Right.
They're just another person that's bothering them, and they're doing something else, you know.
And that's just in your personal opinion, right? Just in case.
My opinion. That's been my dealings with them.
Right.
And, yeah, which I was, you know, it's frustrating for me. But, you know, case was put in cold case right away.
Right.
Right after he died, I found out. I'm like, what's it doing in cold case already? That was strange to me.
You see so many things that you're just finding out slowly but surely, and it seems to be like, you know, this should have been like week 1 of finding out most of this information, and it seems to be like they're just slowly getting around to it, in my opinion, from what it looks like. I can't say for sure, but that's just a perspective of mine.
Yeah, and I know that they're busy down there, and they didn't have any money, you know, and it's just, you know, one thing after another, and there's a lot of crimes, you know. It's not just my sister.
That's true.
They have a lot of people that they haven't solved.
So it's just, unfortunately, one of many.
I'd like to see my sister solved before I die.
And I'm hoping with this conversation we have, we can maybe, you know, tell people that have been keeping up with Ava's case, you know, because it seems to be there's been, like, it's been 16 years now, so there's been quite a variety of people keeping up with the case, and it's time for something new out there from a family's personal perspective like yourself, and I think now would be the time. If anyone's listening, you know, just try to come forth and tell who you need to tell. So I wanted to also ask you too as well. As I said before, like, fans like to come up with their own conspiracy theories and all this and that, and there is this sketch at hand. And I think we mentioned this on a phone call before, but there's a picture of your sister Ava in pink, and there's like a dude with glasses on. Now, we just wanted to clear up, like, that guy he's not a prime suspect, right?
They can't even find him or can't even find out who he is. But that picture was taken way back, I believe in the 70s or maybe early 80s, Las Vegas. They found that out by the magazines on the table and stuff like that. And they found out the hotel it was at and
you don't
all
think
that.
it's him, do you? That guy?
I don't think that guy has a thing to do with this.
Me neither, because it seems to be, from what I've read online, they've already questioned him and I do believe cleared him, right?
Well, I don't even know that they know who he is.
Oh, right. I mean, yeah, I meant the guy in the picture with Kay in the pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's quite a few theories online, and like, what is the one, in your opinion, what is the one theory you'd like to think might be hitting close to home on the case?
You mean picture-wise, or?
Like, because we can't say names or anything like that, but when we were talking before on the phone, I wanted to ask you in your just personal opinion, do you think it might be somebody Ava knew and you might know the person Ava knew?
Yeah, the composite is what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
I know somebody in their circle of friends that looks just like that composite.
And have you, I'm not too sure, have you mentioned this to the authorities yet or no?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so we wanted to just kind of put that out there too, because it seems to be a lot of fans think it's, that real life picture with the guy with the glasses, and they think it's her husband Hal that did it, and I don't think her husband did it, to be honest. It seemed like he was putting a lot of effort into trying to find her, but in your opinion, because some of the fans in the comments section, I just wanted to know your personal opinion. Like, their fans are saying Hal hired a hit woman. Now, what do you make of that?
Well, I don't think he hired anybody to kill Kay.
It's just nice to ask you these questions, because there's so many fan comments that come up with conspiracy theories or just theories of their own. So it's nice to be able to ask you and for you to confirm and pinpoint which theory is the right one. So that way fans of the case can kind of get back on the beaten track of the right situation, I guess you could say, because I mean, there is many complex areas in this case, and a lot of people can't help but feel like it was Ava's husband, which I don't think it was, and they think it's a past lover that might have done it or stuff like that. And what are you hoping with the pictures that you have? Like, are we allowed to maybe share those one day online, or I don't think we would be able to do that, would we?
Yeah, I can share the composite, but the one
Right.
that just looks much like it, I'm a little afraid of. Like I said, I've given that information to the police department, and they okay.
Now, I was
not too concerned.
Gonna ask you.
But Hal, let me clear this up.
Sure.
Hal did take the polygraph test.
Okay.
And he passed the polygraph test.
Okay. So.
And he died, like 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I say he died of a broken heart. I think it was a heart attack or something like that he did.
I agree.
But he called me every day. Every day he didn't miss a day calling me and asking me why did somebody take her away from us? Who did it? And I'm like, I wish I had the answers, Hal. I don't. Every day he called me. He just died of a broken heart. He was so broken up about losing Kay, and I wasn't able to grieve for my own sister until Hal passed away, because it was an everyday thing, and it was just very difficult to deal with. I always wanted to be there for him, to try to help him or talk him through things, but I didn't get to grieve either, because poor Hal was just having such a very difficult time. And after Hal passed away, then I was able to grieve for my sister too, and losing Hal was a big loss. We loved him a lot. Our family loved him a lot. He was a great guy to us. It sounds like he wasn't a great guy always to other people he did business with and stuff. But to our family, he was very, very sweet to us. And I don't know. It just breaks my heart that we can't get this solved.
Yes, I feel you on that. Like I can feel your passion in your voice. I mean, I don't even know like how I can even wrap my mind around somebody like Ava like getting murdered. I'd like to think, I'd like to put myself in your shoes and just go, wow, like what if that happened to me and one of my family members, and she was only 60 years old, and people don't realize like her life was cut short more than it needed to
Yeah.
be, and there was no reason for it. And I don't
No.
know what else to say, but other than I'm very sorry for your loss. My heart
Appreciate
goes out
that.
to you for sure. Like I don't even know what that would be like.
It's not pleasant, let me tell you. It's something, I was so scared for a long time. Several years, after that, I didn't know if somebody's coming after me or what.
Right.
Just wouldn't leave my house. It just totally changed me as a person. Things I used to do, I wouldn't think about doing. Go to Walmart after dark. Are you kidding me? There is no way I'd leave this house by myself at night.
Right.
I wouldn't. So it's just totally changed me. I had to go through some psychiatric care to kind of get me back on track. And the man I was dealing with for about 2 months, he told me he could tell when I got better because apparently when I went in there, I was wearing all these dark clothes. But then I guess as soon as I started kind of lightening up and, relaxing a little bit about it, being able to talk about it, he said he could tell by the color of my clothes. I got brighter clothes and all this, and I never noticed that. But he told me that, he said that's how I could tell you were getting better. But I can talk about anything about that. When she got murdered, I just couldn't. But after this therapy session I had, I was able to talk about Kay, and I was able to talk about what happened to her and that they'd slit her throat and stuff like that. But the first, oh gosh, it was just horrible. Just absolutely horrible. And it still is. But at least I can talk about it now without just breaking down. And, I know Kay's probably in a better place anyway than the rest of us, but I sure missed having her the last 16 years, Probably the next 5 or more. We've got longevity in our family. My dad was 93 when he passed away, and our mom almost 93 when she passed away, just a couple of months from turning 93. So there's longevity in our family. She could have lasted a long time. She was nice and healthy and ran all the time, and, just...
She looked beautiful for her age. I mean, she was 60, and like you wouldn't have noticed it while looking at her, right? Like she.
Oh no. Yeah, she was beautiful, beautiful gal.
And it's a shame because people don't really understand that there's a family attached to this case, and there's like you that are suffering for it, and I'm hoping that with this conversation we can really just try to pump out this information out there and really I'm trying to think of all the conversations we've had, and I'm trying to ask all the questions so I don't forget. But what are some of your thoughts and opinions that you want to maybe put out there in this phone call? What are some more theories that you maybe want to just talk about that you're concerned about?
There's people at the office, which apparently they never interviewed any of those people at the office. And, there's that letter that came up,
Right.
That letter that somebody wrote.
And I wanted to touch base on the letter here, because a lot of the fan comments were questioning that they were giving their thoughts and saying that they think maybe it was maybe a woman that put those letters together to throw someone, to throw everyone off. Do you think there's any truth to those opinions?
Well, there could be. I just don't know how that stuff works. And I was there when they got the letter, and the police department brought it over to Hal's office. And Hal and I went in and looked at it, and it was just I couldn't believe it. It's like, what? Who does this? But it was oh yeah, called us white trash. Kay's family was white trash, and I was like, really?
It
She was a
sounds like.
better money grubbing whore, and
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff. That she hated her husband, she hated her house. I've been there several times, and her and I've painted, and I've made curtains for some of the rooms, and we've painted, and she never once told me that she hated that house.
No.
Now, last time I was there, we were out house hunting. Her and I had gone out house hunting while I was there, and that was for her birthday. And Hal flew me in to surprise Kay for her birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and had me there at the house, and then she came home, and there I was sitting in her living room. It was really pretty neat. But the dress she wore that day is the dress I buried her in, that we buried her in.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. Every time I hear your voice, I feel so bad.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that in the modern day technology that we have, I'm hoping that anybody that's listening to this could be kind enough to share it on their social media like Facebook, Twitter. If anyone's listening, it would be great if you could just share it on your Facebook and tell your friends to share it, because there's a nice, beautiful woman here named Pamela that is suffering very much, everyone. So if you know anything, anybody, please contact. Would it be Crime Stoppers they would have to contact?
Well, that's what it said on the end of that show.
Right. So, or like
Right.
the police department, or Crime Stoppers. I think just give
Gwinnett
anybody a
County Police
shout.
Department.
I just before we end this conversation, I just wanted to say that Ava has been gone 16 years now, and I'm assuming it never gets easier day by day. And
I don't know.
what are you going to do in the next couple years to try to solve this case? Is there anything that you're currently working on now?
Not right now. My husband's had some medical problems, and I've had a few myself. But, I've just been so lucky that people have reached out to me to help me with Kay's case. And like you calling me, this is very helpful also, just to keep her name out there so it doesn't get stale. I don't know
Exactly.
what my next move is. I could probably pick up the phone and call some people, but right now it's kind of impossible for my husband to do any traveling, or we've had pretty rough last couple of years here between both of us, so it's hard to get up and do too much.
I just wanted to ask on a side note. I know I asked you before about Kay being a Playboy bunny at the Miami club, but you said she never got a chance to be Playmate. Did she ever try to do anything like that?
I really don't know. I was young and married and kind of doing my own thing, and so I don't really know if she even tried out for anything like that.
Well, I'm sure she
Uh,
would have been a terrific Playmate if she did.
yeah. Oh, she was good at anything she did. There's no doubt about that. She wasn't good at it. She looked good at it.
That's great. So I just wanted to maybe ask you one more question before we end this.
Sure.
Now, Kay got murdered on May 1st, 2008, and it's been 16 years almost now this month. So,
Yes.
what do you want to say to the fans listening just one more time before we end the show, that what are some of the things that they're maybe getting wrong on the whole subject? Because I know I've asked that before, but just maybe tell the fans out there that are keeping up with the case, like, what are the big nail hitters that they're not getting quite right?
Well, I'm not sure what that is. I know that some of the people like Hal and is not a suspect. Her ex-husband's not a suspect anymore. They've both been checked out.
Right.
They checked out a lot of other people. There's family members that they've kind of wondered about, and we've wondered about, but it's just it's hard to get the police department to do anything and focus on anything or, investigate anything. They just not willing to do it.
That's a real crying shame because there's, people like yourself and many others that are going through similar situations. And, I don't think they really grasp it's you guys are the ones that are suffering and going through these emotions, right? So we need to, tell people, especially any kind of authority maybe listening, that, you need to know now. It's been 16 years now, and I mean, how much longer can it go on? I mean, I'm sure they've had, I don't know, I can't say this, but maybe in an opinion base, but I'm sure they've had perhaps maybe a couple leads, and I'm hoping that with this, it'll get out there more, and I'm hoping with the AI technology, they used his sketch and they kind of turned his sketch into a real life human being with artificial intelligence. So if the fans are out there wondering, just give it a quick Google and I'm sure it'll come up. So I just wanted to say that, and I just wanted
So there
to.
is
Oh, sorry.
there was DNA in that glove,
Okay.
but apparently they've used all of it up trying to figure out who it was. Apparently there wasn't just a whole lot, but Paul Holes, he used some of it to check his case. I think the police department used some of it, and now they're just telling me, well, it's all gone. We don't have any more DNA.
Is there, in your opinion, do you think that DNA is still documented or whatnot?
Oh, I'm sure it is. They said that they put it in the database, the police department did, to see if they could match it with anything. And I'm sure Paul Holes, did the same thing, put it in a database to if they could get anything to match it. But they said there's just such a small amount that it's all gone now. So, with
Interesting.
the good Lord blessings and help, we might get it solved. And
Hoping so.
my
too.
mother told me that it would never be solved. And she told me that from day one. And I said, how can you say that, Mom? She said, it'll never be solved.
Well, we can put this good energy out there and hope it gets solved because it has to eventually, and like we can never lose hope.
Oh no, I haven't lost hope, and I haven't given up. But I get frustrated with what happens, But then I get a little boost, like you calling me and say, "Can I help?
Oh, thanks.
Can I to get it out?" And that's been very helpful with everybody that's called me and
Sure.
did shows on case and stuff. Because I don't know where to start on stuff like that. Like you said, that happens to everybody else's family. It doesn't happen to yours. And by golly, it did. But I'm still in shock too. I'm still in shock that somebody did that to my sister.
That's what we have to tell everybody just to keep in mind. Like, look at the photos online and try to put yourself in those shoes and try to picture that being one of your family members. You know what I mean? It's freaking horrible. Like, I get pissed off for you, just the fact that you're not getting any major leads or details from anybody, right?
No, they don't call me. They don't. When I call them, it just almost seems like it's a bother. But call. Well, you got anything else? Nope. No. Have you looked at anything else? No. We're not in this department anymore. Now we've shifted it over to this, and now we've shifted it over to this. And one of the second investigator that we had has been very helpful to me, and I've touched base with him a few times on how to be able to talk to someone, and he's the one that's helped me say, well, you call this person or that person, or you'll get somebody. So that's been very helpful. So he's still alive. He's just been retired for a long time.
As soon as you said still alive, I wanted to ask you your personal perspective. The killer out there, do you think he's still alive?
I don't know. And that's one of the questions I asked him when I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago. Do you think he's even still alive? And they said, well, we don't know.
Because in the sketch, I want to say he looks about maybe late 50s, maybe early 60s. How old do you think he looked at the time in the sketch?
I think you're about right. Probably late 50s, early 60s.
So he would possibly potentially be maybe in his 70s or late 70s by now.
Oh yeah, yeah, probably so.
So we got to also just keep in mind from the sketches photo and the artificial intelligence photo, we just want to tell people maybe to just keep in mind that photo was from 2008, that sketch, right?
Yes.
And so I just want to let everyone know that he's probably, well, he has aged since then. So just imagine that picture with a couple more years on it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
You're
Well,
right.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for giving me your time and coming on The Boy Next Door. And I really do appreciate the conversations we've had. And it's been a great little journey hearing all your stories and your personal opinions. And I just wanted to thank you for giving me your personal opinions on this whole show.
Oh, and I certainly appreciate you calling and taking the time to do this.
Anytime. And I love true crime and I love to be able to help. So no problem at all. I thank you so much for coming on my show. And like I said, I'm very sorry for your loss. And I'm hoping that with this show that I'm doing here, I'm hoping maybe more ears and eyes will get out there. And I'm hoping everybody listening will share it on their social media.
Oh, I am too. I'm just so grateful for your help.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad I can help in any kind of capacity that I can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and maybe we'll contact each other and keep in touch with each other on the phone.
Sounds great.
All right, well,
I
you
appreciate it.
have a great night over there.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Right.
Bye.